Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai, and welcome to Jagadambe Reads the Holy Books of India, ShrimadBhagavatam282. As you may remember, we've been learning about the various seasons in Vrindavan, and now the rainy season was over. The earth shed its muddiness, and the transient creepers which covered it, like a person with the help of the intellect sheds the inconstant things like I and mine. When the rain stopped, the sea was not turbulent anymore, but placid, like the mind of one who has learned to control the mind and its actions. The sun began to burn hot again during Sharad Ritu, but the moon made the nights pleasant for everyone, making them forget the discomforts of the day. It was like Atmayana, the knowledge about the self, destroying the attachment one has for the body. The night sky, with its bright stars and white cloudless sky, was like the intellect, which is all sattva guna, which has reached the bourne of knowledge. The world of people had been thrown out of action during the rainy season, and now, when the rains were over, when the rain clouds had become white once again, when the sky had become clear, life began to assume its previous form. People began to resume their daily tasks, and everything assumed a new look. There was a freshness in the forest which had been washed clean by the rains. The lakes were full of lotuses, red, white, and blue. The rivers had now slowed down in their speed, and the mad rush was not there. They were flowing softly and very gently. The very air was perfumed with the scent of the flowers, which began to bloom again. Vrindavan was drenched in beauty. 178. The Magic of Krishna's Flute. There was a grove by name Madhuvana on the banks of the Yamuna. Krishna, with his team of cowherds and cows and calves, entered the grove one day. The waters of Yamuna were clear and sweet. The air was laden with the perfume of the lotuses blooming on the lakes. All the trees were covered with flowers, and there was music made by the bees hovering around the flowers and by the birds living on the trees. Everyone was in a gay and happy mood, and they entered the grove with music and dancing. Krishna took up his flute in his hands and breathed music into it. The notes spilling out of it could be heard for miles around, and the gopis heard it. They became quite intoxicated with it and with love for Krishna. They talked to each other about him and about his many feats, which had them spellbound all these years. They thought of Krishna and his handsome figure. His hair was all curly, and the curls would fly in the breeze when he walked. On top of his head he had stuck the feather of a peacock, and this lent an unbelievably lovely glow to his face. His figure was perfect, like that of a dancer, and his ears were decorated with the white flowers of the karnakara tree. He was wearing a garland of flowers. The flowers were of such different hues, white, red, yellow, and blue, while green leaves were woven in between. This garland was called Vijayanti. He would always dress himself in silk, which was golden yellow in color, and his dark complexion was set off very well by the yellow silk. Dressed as though for a festive occasion, Krishna stood in the midst of his friends and touched the flute to his lips and began to play sweet notes on it. The youngsters with him danced to the tune of the flute, and there was great rejoicing in the Madhuvana. The gopis spoke among themselves, and they could talk of Krishna and nothing else. One gopi said, "When I think of the face of Krishna with his lips touching the flute and his eyes bent lovingly on his friends, and on the cows and on the trees, and in short, on everything around him, can one think of anything else?" Sadhgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you for coming. I hope you come again.